This is a special News Center 7 presentation from WHIO TV.
Through the marvels of this great electronic age.
This storm is severe, a massive storm.
Welcome to News Center 7. I'm Jim Baldridge.
In Columbus, Jim Otting.
Scheduled to be on the ground here in Bob Rock for only about 2 hours.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
WHIO TV celebrates 75 years, sponsored by McAfee and David Knapp Ford Lincoln.
Good evening and welcome to our 75th anniversary celebration.
Over the next hour, we are taking a look back at the impact WHIO has had over the past 7.5 decades.
It was February 1949. Harry S. Truman was just beginning his second term as president. Hank Williams' Lovesick Blues was playing brand new and on Dayton radio.
And downtown Dayton was bustling with shoppers at Reich's department store. Welcome Stadium, still under construction. And Dayton's very first television station started broadcasting.
WHIO TV Channel 7. Well, no, actually we debuted as Channel 13, and that is where our story begins.
February 23rd, 1949.
This is WHIO Television.
And with that, Dayton's first TV station, Channel 13, came to life, but on an experimental basis. Our home was a brand new building at 1414 Wilmington Avenue. Cornfields surrounded the place. Our tower stood almost 520 feet tall. WHIO's first program was grainy, black and white, and was a local Golden Gloves boxing match. At the time, cable had not yet made it to Dayton, so WHIO produced its own live local program.
It's jumping time on the Kenny Roberts Show. Are you all raring to go, kid?
Kenny Roberts Show was a huge hit with our viewers. Kids across the Miami Valley wanted so much to be a part of it.
In late 1949, WHIO finally got CBS network cable. That meant live shows from New York and California. This started the golden age of television. In 1952, WHIO went from Channel 13 to Channel 7. While the channel number may have changed, our connection to CBS never wavered.
In 1953, WHIO built a new tower off Germantown Street in Dayton. At the time, it was the world's tallest TV tower and the third highest man-made structure in the world, standing more than 1,100 feet in the sky. It was more powerful, so 400,000 families could see WHIO across the Miami Valley. In 1967, WHIO TV had The Big News, Dayton's first full-color 90-minute newscast with news, weather, and sports. And every night, icons like Don Wayne, Tom Hanlon, and Ed Kraling were in people's living rooms.
In 1998, WHIO joined the digital arena with our first website, WHIOTV.com. Headlines were one word, and it was updated daily with the latest news. In 2004, WHIO introduced our team of meteorologists as Storm Center 7, and just 3 years later, we debuted our new live Doppler 7 radar that was 2 minutes faster at tracking severe weather.
After spending more than 60 years on Wilmington Avenue, it was time to move to something bigger, better, and modern. In 2010, after more than a year of planning, WHIO loaded up the moving trucks and headed to South Main Street.
For the final time, we are going to sign off from here at 1414 Wilmington Avenue.
Our new building gave us more space and better technology to provide you coverage you can count on.
We're moving to get into a new place, to have some new technology. High-definition television is coming your way tomorrow night here on News Center 7.
After the last newscast at 11 p.m., the lights went out in our old broadcast studio one last time. 5 hours later, we were on air for News Center 7's Daybreak from our new studio with a brand new set. That set would go on to be the backdrop for thousands of newscasts until 2016, when we unveiled our new look, the one we know today.
Of course, news is central to our mission, and that's why we call ourselves News Center 7.
And for 7.5 decades, we brought you the biggest news stories impacting the Miami Valley. As Cheryl McHenry shows us, sometimes that coverage even took us overseas.
WHIO. The headline of the hour.
Never anchored to the desk, Don Wayne flew to Vietnam in the 60s to talk to local troops.
When we first came here, we didn't have electric, and lately we've been bring in generators. We even have movies sometimes at night.
4, 3.
That same decade, Wayne interviewed Wapakoneta native Neil Armstrong before he became the first man on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for
And in
man.
1981, the veteran anchor stood on a cold tarmac in West Germany, waiting for 52 U.S. hostages to arrive from Iran after 444 days in captivity. Among them, Daytonian Steve Lauterbach. Here at home, 1985 saw 5 family members shot to death in their Dayton home, their killers sent to death row. July 1986, News Center 7 covered the Miamisburg train derailment. A car filled with phosphorus ruptured and caught fire, pouring plumes of thick white smoke into the air and forcing some 30,000 people from their homes.
You really need to go there and get out of Miamisburg. It's really not safe here.
1992 brought the Christmas thrill killings. A group of 4 young people went on a crime spree, killing 6 people at random. In 1994, anchor Jim Baldridge went back to Vietnam and visited a soup shop popular with GIs during the war that also served as enemy headquarters.
Because of my emotions, I could not accept a bowl of his famous soup.
World leaders met at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in 1995, where they negotiated the Dayton Peace Accords, ending the 3.5-year Bosnian War. Former President Bill Clinton visited Wright-Pat on the 20th anniversary of the agreement.
An unjust peace is more just than continuing death.
Erica Baker became a household name in 1999 when she went missing while walking her dog in Kettering. A man later admitted he hit her with his van and buried her somewhere. Her parents still hold out hope her remains will be found.
Being able to get her put to rest, that is closure.
And remember this? In November '99, our cameras captured all angles as Dayton's Wright's department store was imploded. And in March 2003, the Schuster Performing Arts Center opened where Wright's once stood. Downtown's transformation continued in 2000 with professional baseball coming to town. The Dayton Dragons took the field for the first time and continue to break records for attendance. We were all on high alert after the terror attack on 9/11/2001, which killed about 3,000 people at the World Trade Center in New York, the Pentagon in D.C., and on a plane that crashed in rural Pennsylvania. As the birthplace of aviation, Dayton took time out in 2003 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of powered flight with the weeks-long Inventing Flight Festival. The U.S. was at war in the Middle East, and in 2004, James Brown flew with the 445th Airlift Wing based at Wright-Pat to Baghdad to pick up wounded troops from Iraq. Just over a decade later, I flew with a reservist to deliver supplies to our troops in Afghanistan.
We're scheduled to be on the ground here in Bagram for only about 2 hours, just long enough to refuel the plane, load and unload cargo and troops, and get back in the air before sunrise.
Dayton's era of building automobiles came to an end in late 2008 when the last SUV rolled off the assembly line at the GM truck plant in Moraine. No one's ever been charged in the 2018 disappearance of Cheryl Coker from Riverside, though her remains were found in Greene County 18 months later.
Start downtown towards the Oregon District, 99.
Dayton joined the list of cities marred by a mass shooting on August 4th, 2019, when a gunman opened fire in the crowded Oregon District, killing 9 people and injuring more than 24 others. Had police not taken him down quickly, many more would have died. 3 months later, beloved Dayton Police Detective George Del Rio was shot to death as he entered a suspected drug house as part of a DEA task force. Early 2020 brought the COVID-19 pandemic, and we covered all aspects as fear of the rapidly spreading virus closed businesses and schools, having a lasting impact on children and killing or hospitalizing thousands in Ohio and across the country. The summer of 2022 saw 3 police officers shot in our area. Clear Creek Township officer Eric Ney survived being shot in the face, but later had to retire. Clark County Deputy Matt Yates was gunned down in July as he responded to a Sunday morning call at a mobile home park.
I feel as if...
And Richmond Canine officer Sierra Burton suffered a fatal gunshot wound during a traffic stop in August and died weeks later. She was just 28. In April 2023, fire at a Richmond, Indiana plastics facility burned for days, and people within a 3-mile radius were evacuated. The multi-million-dollar cleanup started in November and will take months to complete.
People you've met on WHIO TV over the years may feel like old friends. After all, you've invited these familiar faces into your living room for some of our community's most important stories.
Storytellers, investigators, hard news reporters, and weather experts. These are the hardworking people that have become an integral part of Dayton history.
These are the iconic faces you have come to know so well.
WHIO. To those among our television audience, I thank you for your loyalty and
When WHIO went on the air in 1949, Don Wayne was on the desk. Known as the Walter Cronkite of Dayton, Wayne spent 47 years at WHIO.
I'd watched Don Wayne growing up in Lima, Ohio. So meeting Don was a really big moment in my life.
Jim Baldridge inherited the anchor chair when Wayne retired in 1988.
I'm glad to have been a part of it, but there is life after television.
Wayne died in 1997 at the age of 75.
Don was a gentleman every time. I never saw him angry at anyone at any time. He was a well-disciplined professional.
WHIO weather specialist Gil Whitney is credited with saving lives. In 1974, Whitney broke into programming to warn Xenia residents to take immediate cover. A tornado was heading their way.
This storm is severe, a massive storm.
Whitney died in 1982 at the age of 42 of lymphoma. Raised in Lima, Ohio, Jim Baldridge joined WHIO in 1972 as a reporter. The next 3 decades would take the Army veteran to the anchor desk and special assignments across the globe.
WHIO sent me all over the world, to Asia and to Europe, all over Europe, Central and South America. And it was just a great time for me to be at WHIO during those years.
Baldridge retired in 2009, handing the anchor chair over to James Brown.
August 10th, 1981. Scared to death.
That's when Cheryl McHenry joined the WHIO team.
Walking in the first day, and I was awestruck by seeing Don Wayne, Jim Baldridge, Gil Whitney.
With a background in radio, Cheryl adapted quickly to TV, covering police and court beats. From murder cases to a political convention and a Super Bowl, Cheryl has covered everything. She moved to the anchor desk in the 90s.
It's Miami Valley Murder Mysteries.
And now helps families find closure and police crack cases with her Miami Valley Murder Mysteries.
It's still, after 42 and a half years, it's still an honor for me to be here.
And highlights from the Reds and the Cubs tonight at 11 o'clock.
Mike Hartsock joined WHIO in 1981 as a reporter, but found his true calling when he was named the station's sports director 8 years later.
I covered the Reds winning the World Series in 1990. I was lucky enough to cover 3 Super Bowls, the Olympics in 1996.
Known for his catchphrase,
So
stay right there. Hartsock stayed at WHIO for 41 years. He retired in 2020.
Sun's up in the Dayton area. And so
Ken Jefferson spent 25 years at WHIO. Most of those years, he was on the anchor desk. Ken left the station in 2002. He died in 2018 after a brief illness. Ken was 65. Steve Baker's first memory of WHIO is childhood. His dad worked here too, first in sales, then the newsroom.
I would come here as a little shaver on Saturdays when he would come in for a while and sit in the main studio and watch the Uncle Lorraine Nosy the Clown show as a kid. And so, WHIO has been almost the 75 years in our family.
Baker joined the WHIO family in 1980. His passion for news often affected his real family.
I almost missed the birth of my son because I was probably out on a story.
Steve spent almost 4 decades covering news, mostly as WHIO's Northern Bureau Chief.
I would sleep with a scanner on at home. And so if I would hear something that would wake me up and it was, something I needed to go, if it was 3 o'clock in the morning, I rolled. I had almost 40 years here. Plus when I was a kid, hanging out in the studio. This is my place.
Another person who found their place at WHIO is Becky Grimes. Becky started at WHIO Radio right out of college, then switched to TV.
I feel like I grew up at Channel 7 in many ways. I was 21 years old when I started, and I spent 40 years within radio and TV.
Becky's path would take her into management and the I-Team. She retired in 2018. Jim Oddie joined WHIO in 1988 as a reporter for the Ohio State House, but his passion was News Center 7's I-Team.
The mission was to get to the bottom of an issue, to follow the facts wherever they lead, and to stick with it.
Jim spent 43 years holding people accountable, fighting for change, and helping folks get what they deserve.
Very nice lady from Xenia, I found her $20,000. Within 6 months, she had that money in her bank account.
Let's talk to Mike Campbell real quick. Mike has been following this story for all the past week.
Mike Campbell has worked both behind and in front of a TV camera.
We're talking about 2,500 charges.
He joined the team in 1985. Mike is one of the most experienced reporters in the Miami Valley, currently covering crimes and courts.
Live, local.
Good morning, it's 425. I'm Letitia Perry.
Letitia Perry joined WHIO in 2001. With a background in Dayton radio, the Trotwood native was familiar to TV viewers. Letitia started her WHIO journey as a reporter, but quickly moved to the anchor desk. Letitia worked evenings with both Jim Baldridge and James Brown. Now she wakes up the Miami Valley each weekday morning on News Center 7 Daybreak.
We've been working breaking news for almost 2 hours.
That voice became a WHIO staple in 2002. James spent his first 6.5 years as a morning anchor, then moved to the evening spot, where he's been co-anchoring the evening news with Cheryl McHenry since 2009. In his 22-plus years at WHIO, James often highlights the good in our communities.
Do you think you're making a difference? Are you making a difference? Making a difference.
Yes, sir. Every single day.
With his Making a Difference stories.
From Cinderella stories to championships, we've seen it all in sports. Coming up, we'll take a look at the biggest sports stories WHIO has covered over the last 75 years.
Plus wild weather in the Miami Valley. How Storm Center 7 has kept you safe the past 7.5 decades.
Happy 75th anniversary. That's a big one to WHIO TV. From your friends here at CBS Mornings, you got lots of friends. We're wishing you many, many more.
Happy 75th anniversary, WHIO TV, Channel 7.
Like Tony said, it's your anniversary. 75 years serving the Miami Valley. Happy anniversary, WHIO TV.
Happy 75th anniversary to WHIO TV from your friends here at the CBS Evening News. We're wishing you many more.
What do you expect from your weather team? Commitment to track ever-changing conditions and give you fair warning before the weather becomes a problem. Teamwork to bring you the latest on what's coming down and what's coming next with an accurate forecast. Wherever you live throughout Dayton and the Miami Valley, when weather affects you, News Center 7 has an eye on the storm. That's weather coverage you can count on. From the Miami Valley News Leader.
Of all the important stories to come out of the Miami Valley over the years, some of the most memorable have been led by Storm Center 7 and the meteorologists who take great pride in keeping our communities safe.
Tirelessly working through the night, tracking storms and forecasting important weather events. At WHIO, we know that keeping you safe is the most important job we have.
As Storm Center 7 Chief Meteorologist Austin Cheney shows us, it's really more than a job. It's a promise that we've kept for decades.
The Miami Valley has faced severe weather, snowstorms, and historic flooding over the past 75 years. And through it all, WHIO was there to help you make it through. Just 1 year after WHIO hit the airwaves in 1950, the Dayton area was digging out of the Snow Bowl. Ohio State and Michigan played for the Big Ten Championship in blizzard conditions. Over a foot of snow fell throughout much of Ohio, paralyzing the Dayton region for days. One of the worst weather days in Miami Valley history struck on April 3, 1974. An F5 tornado tore through the city of Xenia, killing 30 people.
From WHIO
WHIO's instant weather radar station.
WHIO weatherman Gil Whitney was the first to alert the public of the tornado using the first and only weather radar in Dayton. He identified a hook echo and knew that meant trouble.
Into central Greene County, this storm is severe, a massive storm. The track indicated by the hook in radar screen is
Gil's live tracking of the storm undoubtedly saved countless lives. Then, just 4 years later, January 26, 1978, one of the most memorable storms to strike the Miami Valley, the blizzard of 1978. Gil Whitney and many of the WHIO staffers lived at the station for days. The day still holds the record for the most snow in a 24-hour period in Dayton at over a foot. Snowdrifts reached 25 feet in spots. The National Guard had to come in to assist, and for the first time since the Great Flood of 1913, the mail was not delivered in Dayton. Then, in 2008, a bizarre weather situation struck. Who could imagine a hurricane wreaking havoc as far inland as Ohio? On September 14th, Hurricane Ike blew in, producing near hurricane force winds. Thousands were left without power for weeks. Extensive tree and power line damage added to the devastation. 6 years later, in 2014, the Miami Valley experienced a 1,000-year flood event when torrential rainfall flooded I-70 in Huber Heights. Floodwaters reached 4 feet in some spots, trapping drivers along the highway.
You need to be in your safe spot, absolutely, at this point.
In more recent times, Storm Center 7 guided you through a generational severe weather event. The deadly Memorial Day tornadoes of 2019. 15 tornadoes tore through the Miami Valley in one night.
What I saw, my call, when she started tearing up, I knew it was
ongoing in
bad.
the Miami Valley, and this is a dangerous situation that has been ongoing. I'm sorry, I'm getting choked.
The first things I thought of was war zone, because it just looked like somebody just took a bomb.
The strongest of which, an EF4 tornado carved a 20-mile path of destruction from Brookville to Trotwood into Dayton and Riverside.
It was warning after warning, tornado after tornado, eventually leading to 15 confirmed tornadoes in the Miami Valley.
Damages were estimated up to $1 billion. And who could forget the days leading up to Christmas in 2022? Temperatures dropped from the 40s with rain to -9 degrees and blowing snow. Dayton recorded nearly 4 inches of snow with that storm. Wind chills dropped to -38 and roads remained iced and snow covered for days. When it comes down to it, we live in a part of the country where extreme weather can happen at any time of the year. And as we have through the past 75 years, Storm Center 7 will have you covered before, during, and after the storm.
Sports has played a key role on Channel 7 from the time we first signed on. We've covered championships from high school to college to the pros.
I have even had the opportunity to cover sports from here all the way out west.
Former WHIO sports director Mike Hartsock looks back at the biggest sports stories from across the Miami Valley and beyond.
He hustles down court. The midline, the chap.
Whether you play a game or just watch, sports is all about passion, and nobody has more passion in the Miami Valley than Dayton Flyer fans. WHIO TV was the television home of the Flyers for more than 60 of our 75 years. In my 4 decades, we've covered the Flyers twice in the Elite Eight of the NCAA tournament. Roosevelt Chapman led the way as Don Donaher's 1984 Cinderella Dayton team beat Oklahoma, LSU, and Washington before losing to eventual national champion Georgetown.
That's our motto, a year of dreams, and if it is a dream, you really don't want to wake up.
In 2014, Archie Miller's guys opened with a last-second win over Ohio State, then beat Syracuse and Stanford before falling to Florida. And who could forget 2020, when the Dayton Flyers were slated to be a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. I still remember that day in Brooklyn, New York, when the A-10 tournament was just minutes away from tip-off. Then the news broke. The A-10 tournament was canceled, and by the end of the day, COVID-19 had claimed the entire NCAA tournament, ending one of the Flyers' best seasons on record and leaving fans to wonder what might have been.
Some things are bigger than basketball. Most of our thoughts are with our players and with the coaching staff and everything they've done up to this point. Clearly a very tough day.
Just down the road in Cincinnati, the Reds have won 3 World Series titles since we first signed on the air. The Big Red Machine went back-to-back in the mid-'70s. But the one that stands out for me is the team that wasn't supposed to win. Lou Piniella's 1990 team not only beat the defending champion Oakland A's for the title, they swept them in 4 games. It's been a roller coaster of emotions for Reds fans, though. Rock bottom came in 1989 when Pete Rose accepted a lifetime ban from baseball for gambling on the game.
I got all the hits and scored all the runs and won all the games. I can't really worry about something that's not in my control.
The Bengals have been to the big game 3 times, twice against the same opponent with the same result. Since he lost to San Francisco 26-21 in Super Bowl 16 in Pontiac, Michigan. It was deja vu all over. 7 years later, Joe Montana led the Niners to a go-ahead touchdown in the final minutes of the game. The Bengals, once again on the wrong end, 20-16 in Super Bowl 23 in Miami.
On play action.
It wouldn't be until Joe Burrow got drafted by the Bengals in 2020 that the team would eventually see another Super Bowl. 2 years after joining the team, Burrow and the boys headed to Super Bowl 56 in Los Angeles against the Rams. With 1:25 left in the game, the Rams scored the go-ahead touchdown. Burrow got the ball back, but the Bengals couldn't convert. The Rams beat Cincinnati 23-20.
I'm proud of this team. We made it to the Super Bowl. We proved so many people wrong. This team has heart, and we're only going to get better from here on out.
Then the next year, Burrow would once again lead the Bengals to the AFC Championship game, only to lose to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. When it comes to sports in the Miami Valley, though, nothing got me more fired up than covering our high school teams. This fall, WHIO TV will be celebrating 35 years of Touchdown 7.
Technology is ever evolving, and we're constantly staying on top of what's new.
We'll take you behind the scenes to show you the upgrades we've seen in the last 75 years and how it's impacting storytelling every day.
And for years, the News Center 7i team has been dedicated to investigative journalism. A look at the difference our reports have made here in the Miami Valley, across Ohio, and all the way to Washington.
To our friends at WHIO Channel 7, congratulations on 75 years of service to Dayton. Happy anniversary, guys.
Happy 75th anniversary, WHIO Channel 7.
News Center 7 is coverage you can count on. At 5 p.m., live from the scene coverage of the day's top stories. Healthbeat and Consumer Alert special reports, and a complete look at today's weather. At 5:30, live, local, late-breaking updates, along with in-depth reports like Wastebusters, plus your local forecast. Then at 6, the best balance of news and weather from around Dayton and the Miami Valley, around the nation, and around the world. At 5:30, and 6, News Center 7 is coverage you can count on.
For decades, WHIO TV has had a commitment to investigative journalism, holding the powerful accountable.
Giving a voice to the previously unheard and prompting positive change here in the Miami Valley, across Ohio, and all the way to Washington.
The I-Team's John Bedell takes a look at the difference the News Center 7 I-Team has made for decades.
WHIO TV has always been dedicated to investigative journalism.
Jim Baldridge's time, they did some great work. But much later, we wanted to add extra focus to bring a team of people together.
And that's where the News Center 7 I-Team was born. Jim Oddie led our investigations for 33 years.
The mission was to get to the bottom of an issue, to follow the facts wherever they lead, and to stick with it.
Becky Grimes was the I-Team's longtime executive producer.
I think that the goal, for me anyway, was to take topics that were hidden in the darkness and bring them out into the light.
Byron Sturzman spent many of his 39 years at Channel 7 as the I-Team's photojournalist.
My dedication was to the viewer. I wanted them, if they were going to take their time to sit down in front of the television, I didn't want them reaching for the remote when one of my stories was on.
This controversy exploded when veterans...
The I-Team's work has made a difference. Our Emmy-winning special report in 2014 focused on local veterans not getting the care they deserved at the Dayton VA Medical Center. It was a national story that the I-Team uncovered was also a problem in the Miami Valley.
We took it right to the people who ran the Dayton VA Medical Center. We think it made a difference. And then we followed up to see what kind of changes they had made.
In 2012, our I-Team documentary, Invisible Wounds, focused on local veterans suffering from PTSD.
I felt like getting all the veterans together that we talked to and also finding out all the places they could go that they didn't even know existed in the community for help, not just the VA, was very good.
Miami Valley Murder Mysteries.
Miami Valley Murder Mysteries grew from the I-Team. Several of the cold cases we've profiled have been solved since our reports aired.
They would always say that people over time would eventually talk that when they knew something. And so it was fascinating to do those and very rewarding when we did get some kind of result.
The I-Team has always had a tradition of prompting positive change with our reporting. Consumer investigator Xavier Hershevitz and I have worked to carry on that legacy. Xavier's reports help our viewers save money and avoid ripoffs. My investigation into the child welfare case and murder of Dakota Collins prompted a new state law that changed the oversight of Ohio's child welfare systems.
All of this stuff that happened that failed him, this stuff needs to be fixed, or another child is going to lose their life because of it.
Following the I-Team's reporting on MV Realty's real estate racket, last fall, another new state law made new MV Realty contracts illegal in Ohio.
How'd they find you? That's what I'd like to know. They just called me. And he said, oh no, ma'am, it's not a scam.
Last year, the I-Team's reporting helped lead to a criminal indictment and spurred action in Washington. After we started airing investigations into billions in Social Security overpayments, the agency announced a review and Congress launched hearings.
We always all shared the same goal, and that was to inform our viewers, keep viewers safe, cover the weather, do good investigations.
The new Center 7 I-Team doesn't just expose problems.
We've had people who months and months later came back to us and said, thanks for doing that story.
We work to get answers and results for our viewers.
There's a real commitment to journalism at this station. And I think that's really the 75-year legacy of this place.
One of WHIO's pillars is giving back to the community, how we're making a difference where you live.
Plus, technology is always evolving. We'll take a look back at the tech that takes us into your living room.
Happy anniversary to WHIO TV.
Happy 75th anniversary to WHIO TV from your friends.
Right here at NCIS Hawaii, wishing you
many more, baby.
Aloha.
Peace.
Happy 75th anniversary to WHIO TV from your friends at FBI, wishing you many more.
When news breaks.
Breaking news now from News Center 7.
News Center 7 is live on the scene.
City leaders say this news is exactly what they've been waiting for.
With complete coverage throughout the Miami Valley.
The Vice President has just arrived here at Wright-Patterson Airport.
Exclusive details of the stories that affect you.
The latest on an investigation into a multi-million-dollar move.
Knowledgeable, straightforward. Jim Baldridge, Donna Jordan, and Cheryl McHenry. News Center 7. Breaking news coverage you can count on.
WHIO has always been first in technology. In the past 75 years, whenever a new piece of equipment came on the market, chances are we made it work for us.
Let's take a look behind the scenes at the advances that helped make our leading coverage over the years and the two key people who made it happen.
Follow the Leader was not just News Center 7's calling card or motto, it was also what other stations did when it came to technology. WHIO has always been willing to invest in the latest equipment to make sure we bring our viewers the best TV coverage and the best looking TV coverage. Chuck Hamlin retired in late 2023 after spending 41 years in the photography department, eventually leading the department in technology as the chief.
WHIO has always been on the front steps of technology. The world's largest broadcast tower this company started with in 1953. So they always invested on what it took to get the job done.
We lovingly called Chuck MacGyver because he could fix anything. He kept a bag of gadgets and parts with him at all times. He even kept a hairdryer, and not for his hair.
A hairdryer is something that would get a stuck tape out of a VCR machine. A live truck would have a 52-foot mast that would go up in the air. Depending on the weather conditions, freezing rain, it did not like, they could get frozen in the up position.
Even though he's now retired, his skill set still comes in handy. In fact, he saved this interview.
Literally never got that.
When one of our cameras malfunctioned. It was Chuck, to the rescue. Before Chuck headed the department, James Robinson did. He retired in early 2020 after serving 43 years at WHIO. James oversaw the photogs and videographers, from the use of film and the old analog cameras to the introduction of the smaller, lighter, and more efficient digital P2 cameras. Under his leadership, we went from recording on huge videotapes to using P2 cards, smaller than a credit card.
It was a game changer. It gave us as photographers more leeway, more room to be creative, and when things weren't the way we want, we could easily fix those things and save a lot of time.
The changes involved more than just cameras. For decades, WHIO had the only helicopter in the market. From News Chopper 7, we have advanced to our Sky 7 drones. James and Chuck have seen it all and used it all to help our reporters tell compelling stories that grab the attention visually. There's also been significant upgrades to our vehicles. You likely remember seeing our live trucks around town. They featured huge retractable towers with a dish on top.
They just kept progressing and making the workload a lot easier, making the product look a lot better, and making it safe for people.
Then came upgrades to our weather vehicles. Take a look at our current Storm Tracker 7, equipped with cameras that show inclement weather in real time, live on air. Our most recent upgrade is called WHIO. It's the size of a backpack, making the ENG truck obsolete.
Live, local, late breaking.
With WHIO, we can bring you in an instant an immediate report from an active scene anywhere in the world, not just here in the Miami Valley.
The company has never wavered on its stance of being in the forefront of technology and doing what it takes and buying the equipment that it took to really produce good quality sound material.
Right. I mean, it's just it's never-ending evolution of technology.
As advances in technology continue to expand, so does our coverage and our ability to bring you clean, clear, crisp coverage in a split second. WHIO is always leading in technology. It's coverage you can count on.
For the past 75 years, it's taken an army to bring you live, local, late-breaking news every single day.
From in front of the camera to behind the scenes, you might not know all of their faces, but you saw their work every day here on Channel 7.
Let's take a look back at some of the people who paved the way for WHIO and the legends we've lost.
I thank you for your loyalty and support, and God bless you.
Like the champion, Muhammad Ali is going to win it, laugh all the way to the bank with this turkey of a fight.
News Center 7. The best coverage of the day's top stories. The most complete local news. Count on the anchor team that knows Dayton and the Miami Valley. Jim Baldridge, Cheryl McHenry, and Ken Jefferson. Straightforward, knowledgeable, professional. News Center 7. Coverage you can count on.
We are proud of WHIO's history, giving back to the community.
Through the years, we've been blessed to share those stories with you here on Channel 7.
Here's a look at how we are working to make a difference and showcase people doing the same.
WHIO.
No way we would have stayed relevant for 75 years without our loyal viewers. We all know there would be no WHIO without them. Through the years, one of WHIO's core values has been to give back, whether that be during our newscasts or outside the traditional TV realm.
One, get him,
Go,
kids.
guys. For more than 30 years, WHIO carried the Children's Miracle Network Telethon to benefit Dayton Children's. Ted Ryan and Cheryl McHenry's trusted hometown demeanor warmed people's hearts. They, along with viewers, organizations, and companies, generously raised millions of dollars. When it came to things that fly, every summer, WHIO's Jim Baldridge was like a kid again. Vietnam veteran and POW, General Edward Meckenbauer and Jim loved aviation. And for 30 years, WHIO broadcast live from the Dayton Air Show. While tens of thousands of people watched along in person, tens of thousands more watched from home.
Live from Troy, Ohio, Television 7 is proud to present coverage of the Troy Strawberry Festival Parade.
And for more than 3 decades, we helped show off Troy Strawberry Festival, Kettering's Holiday at Home Parade, and Xenia's Old Fashioned Days.
Come on up, sir. Just need your picture ID, please.
When it came to our commitment to the community during our broadcasts,
I love you too.
In 2010, we started our monthly series called Making a Difference. People like TSA Reggie at Dayton International made us laugh.
Come on up, young lady. Don't worry about it. Follow the yellow brick road. That's it. That's like Dorothy and what's that dog named Tito?
So many of these story ideas came from our viewers. These stories are about giving folks a pat on the back.
Good night.
Thanks a lot.
We rode along with youth basketball coach Al Freeman. To make sure kids got to practice, he drove his old, beat-up van around town to pick up his players. Evans Auto Group saw the story on WHIO.
The idea of a local news station, especially with the power of WHIO, promoting positive things in our community is, I think it ripples beyond the initial impact of just putting out the video.
And at Woodland Cemetery in Dayton, we met up with Dave Watson.
I have a lot of respect for this cemetery. As I've said before, everybody has a story.
Dave felt compelled to clean headstones of people he never met. He buried his parents here a few years back, and this brings him peace.
I like your hair. Thank you.
There are those stories which pulled at our hearts. 9-year-old Michaela Nelson is sick, really sick. She has cancer.
My nails are ruined because of the chemo.
So, 12-year-old Alana Wall is here to make Michaela's nails pretty again.
Well, we have so much fun just getting to talk and them being girls, even though they're in the hospital. Instead of smelling like a hospital, they want to smell nail polish and girly things.
Kids and their honesty. It's such a powerful thing.
God gave her a gift.
After WHIO viewers cleared the lump in their throats, they felt compelled to donate to Alana and Polished Girls. Then in 2023, WHIO embarked on what we called 7 Circle of Kindness. That meant teaming up with corporate partners and offering support and financial resources to various nonprofits.
It's so important to help the community, and I wanted to help out.
And as we look to the future, we remind ourselves we can never forget our responsibility to our community. Thank you for being a part of the WHIO family through the decades and joining us as we celebrate 75 years.
Thank you for welcoming us into your homes every day to see what's happening in our community, to learn something new, and to stay ahead of the stories and issues that impact us all.
WHIO TV is built on a reputation of excellence, and we don't rest on the past, but continue to hold ourselves to the high standards you have come to expect.
We are committed to the Dayton community, and we promise to keep working hard every day to earn your trust and protect the legacy of WHIO TV Channel 7.
Here's to the next 75 years of coverage you can count on. Good night.
WHIO TV celebrates 75 years, sponsored by McAfee and David Knapp Ford Lincoln.